Welcome to the National Pulse, the official podcast of the Fitness Industry Council of Canada. I'm your host, Zach Weston, and we are the collective voice of over 7,000 facilities and 7 million members from coast to coast to coast. From the steps of Parliament Hill in Ottawa to the floor of your local gym, we are here to discuss the policy, the people, and the passion driving our industry forward. We're talking to the innovators, the disruptors, and the leaders who are evolving the Canadian fitness business landscape with the goal to support, promote, and protect our industry while we move to make Canada the fittest nation on earth. If you're a fitness professional in Canada, today's guest is a name you need to know. Connie Beaulieu has spent over a quarter century bridging the gap between elite strength and conditioning and sustainable lifestyle coaching and longevity. From training the Canadian Armed Forces to founding Activate FitCon and Sweat Inc., she is on a relentless mission to raise the bar for fitness education and professionalism. Today, we're digging into how she's activating the next era of women's wellness and why increased professionalism is driving trust with the health sector. Welcome back to the show. Today's guest is someone who doesn't just work in the fitness industry. She has spent the last 26 years building the foundation for what it means to be a professional in this space. She's a certified strength and conditioning specialist with the NSCA and spent 15 years on the front lines, certifying the next generation of trainers through top-name certifying agencies across Canada. But her expertise goes far beyond the local gym floor. From training tactical athletes in the Police Foundation's program to preparing the Canadian Armed Forces at Algonquin College, she understands what it means to train when the stakes are at their highest. In 2000, she founded Sweat, or SWEAT Inc., a brand built on the philosophy of strong women empowered and trained. But realizing that the industry needed more than just better workouts, it needed better standards. She launched Activate FitCon in 2014, and it has since become a premier hub for professional development, bridging the gap between high-level science and the real-world grit of everyday coaching in the fitness space. Whether she's certifying coaches in her women's wellness certification course or mentoring fitness entrepreneurs through the Activate Academy, her mission remains the same: to move us past passion and personality and toward a future of true professional accountability. So please welcome the powerhouse behind Activate Fitness and a true veteran of the Canadian fitness scene, Connie Beaulieu.
Thank you so much. Grateful to be here.
Well, thank you for making the time to chat with me this afternoon, Connie. Really excited to hear from you and talk a little bit about your upcoming event next month in Ottawa, which I'm really excited to attend, and dive into a little bit more of the why you built these different programs and certifications. So let's get right into it. So my first question is, you've taught fitness and wellness for police foundations and the military, where physical readiness is literally a matter of life and death. So how did that training, training people for the front lines change the way that you coach a woman in her 40s who is just trying to survive the front lines of her daily life?
Right. So back in my early years in my career, I did teach at Algonquin College, and these two programs were what I was teaching. My background is rooted in high performance training. And so with all the pillars through high performance training that I was teaching and educating through the programs as well as my own clients, I knew that we're all trying to thrive and survive in this life, no matter who you are. So for me, yes, I come from more of a high performance background with the tactical athletes and the high performance athletes, but through all the pillars of fitness, fuel, mindset, recovery, and community or connection, I really feel that we are building stronger people in order to get through life. And I know that fitness for me has taken me through some hard times in life, and it's really what I'm so passionate about is fitness. And so whether they were from the Police Foundation's programs, they're students, or whether they're my my clients now, doesn't matter who you are, but I believe fitness saves lives, and that's my approach always.
Outstanding, and we actually share that kind of background. I actually first started teaching, fitness and physical education as a fitness instructor at the Ontario Police College
Oh,
back in the
wow.
'90s,
Oh, no way. Okay.
and
So,
yeah, it completely, shapes, my approach to fitness, and of course, we talk about that approach of, preparing people for, that intense type of work environment, and the translational application to, training people for everyday life is so important, and frankly practical. you
yeah,
know I'll
absolutely.
never forget one of the my probably favorite training workouts that I learned there was an upper body strength training workout from the Navy SEALs, which I often continue to use both with myself, and have used it with clients for decades.
100%. Yes. The programming I was doing then and the programming I'm doing now is the same. Same format, same structure, same, mission. And you're right. And I think there's a misconception too when people think, when you're training for tactical performance or high performance in general, that it's easier for them, or we shouldn't train as hard if we're not in those realms, but we need it. We're all built the same and we all have the same capability, and it just comes down to getting that out of you.
So, so you're using these tools and you're applying them to people where they are, which is awesome,
Yeah,
and applying and pulling that experience right into
exactly.
general wellness and fitness.
That's right. Yeah.
So you've mentioned that the industry used to rely on passion and personality, but now it demands accountability.
Yes.
What does a professional fitness coach look like in 2026?
So, from my perspective, which I think is a great shift we've seen throughout the last 26 years that I've been around, is I personally am seeing more career focused or career driven fitness professionals. I know that when I first started out, I was drawn to those who were working in the clubs that I was in that had been there for a long time and that found a way to make this a career. And I thought that was amazing. And I wanted to become that. And I believe education will always be the foundation for sure. But I also believe that being purpose driven is equally as important in order to show up and to continue to show up for our clients nowadays, especially when stress is high for everybody. We have to be purpose driven. And what that means is we have to be able to take what we have and help build other people, right? Help build them up. And I think that in an industry that's moving, hopefully we're moving away from the aesthetics and more into vitality and longevity. We're not only building sustainable strategies for our clients, but also for us as fitness professionals in order to avoid burnout. Because you and I both know that this industry has a high turnover rate. And I think now is more important than ever to really grow and keep our fitness professionals in the industry. But I also believe this comes with an increase in professional standards. And I believe that's something that we are still working towards. But I think that in general, to answer your question, right now we're seeing just this new era of more career focused fitness professionals.
Wonderful. When I speak to physicians and often ask them about referring their patients
Yep,
to fitness professionals, a big concern they often have is, the unknown, and they describe the fitness space as a bit of the Wild West.
it
You
is.
know, yeah, and despite the
We
fact
know
that, yeah,
that.
we know that, and so
Yeah.
it's great to see, what you're advancing. You've recognized this, and you've done something about it, and
As are you guys, right? As FIC, it's incredible the initiatives that you are taking and the leadership that you have shown. I think it's so important. And conversations like this to collaborate and make it happen together are super important.
well, appreciate that, and if we want to build the trust with the healthcare community, with physicians,
Right.
nurses, physiotherapists, others, because we know that we have a lot to offer. We have amazing facilities, we have incredible equipment that, frankly, we just can't afford to have the equivalent of all of the private fitness facilities available in the public space for free. We need to find ways for public-private partnerships, and it's through what you've described as standardized education and leading and advancing that professionalism that is going to help us continue to pursue that path towards greater legitimacy within our profession, which will in turn help those who have chosen this path to be able to make successful careers in this
That's it.
space, as you've been leading as an example. So
And I believe what you just said, we are the professionals that bridge that gap between the equipment, all the amazing equipment and facilities that we have out there, and the physicians who are now prescribing fitness more than they ever have before. We're the ones in the middle that are going to bridge that gap. We're the ones that are going to take people from knowing what they should do and what they were told they should do to improve their health, and to make it happen by using all of the things that we have, all of the tools and the facilities that we have. I believe the Fit Pros are some of the most important people in that realm.
hmm And on that note, I would say that we probably don't need to continue investing in promotion of awareness about the importance of being physically fit. I don't think I've ever come across a Canadian that was
Oh, right.
surprised to learn that
Oh,
fitness and being active was important and good for them. But
right.
what I think we do really need to shift our investment focus on, both federally and provincially, is investing in programs and investing in quality, credible, standardized, to your point, programs that can be delivered by professionals.
100%. And I think compensation is a whole other avenue that we can go down when it comes to
Mhm.
some, right, a standardization of compensation and or potential income that fitness professionals can make.
No, this completely elevates our profession. And
Right.
so I think that segues really nicely into my next, question. You've been at this for a while now, and in 2014, you looked at this thriving fitness industry,
Mhm.
and you made a decision that it wasn't enough. So you built and created Activate FitCon. Um, and so I'm curious if you can kind of think back, over a decade ago, what was the specific lie or this gap in the way that we were educating
Mhm.
professional, fitness, trainers
Yep.
that at that time made you realize the industry didn't just need more workouts, it needed a total professional activation?
Yeah, totally. For me, the reason why I'm still here in this industry is because of events. But it wasn't necessarily the content of the event, it was the feeling of the event. It was the people that I met, the connections that I made, the inspiration I walked away with.
Mm.
And I think that a lot of people um, still consider going to events as um, unnecessary. A lot of industry professionals are still chasing certifications. They want as many certifications as they can to kind of, validate their profession and put under their belt, which is great. I mean, I'm an advocate of certifications. Obviously, I have one myself. I believe in education, and that's one of the key ways to do it. But I wanted to move away from simply chasing more certifications and feeling more inspiration and just kind of like a celebration of sorts, coming together as a community. But also, whenever I would sit in many conferences, the session would be wonderful. And then you would kind of get to the end and it's a sales pitch, right? And so
Mm.
I know that for me, one of the biggest things is I wanted to make a difference in the space was not as many sponsored sessions. As a matter of fact, we rarely have any sponsored sessions. Um, it is all about true mentorship, taking the leaders that have been doing this for a while, whether they've been on the circuit for a while or they're new and up and coming, putting them up in front to mentor others. And so for me, it's like I wanted more mentorship, more connection, and really moving away from the hustle culture.
Mm.
And it's not about doing more, but it's like let's show up for this weekend to pour into yourself so that you can give back to others. And I'll say the last thing was I find that the industry for years has been rewarded on performance. And I think that's more coming from, the bigger organizations, but there's a sell hustle, strategy out there. And so it's like a lot of fit pros were not only chasing certifications, but how much can I sell? How many awards can I receive based on how much I've sold? And for me, it's all about more service driven leadership. And that's why Activate was created.
Terrific.
Yeah.
It is a bit of a fragmented industry, and I think we've all been to those sessions where
Yep.
the title and the topic is maybe a little bit misleading, and there is a bit of a sales pitch towards the end. But I'm greatly, inspired to hear your passion for the education and the need for that. And having been an educator as well in post-secondary for 25 years myself, uh, I've had roles to help support and, train, people in the fitness domain.
Yeah.
And it does get a bit frustrating hearing the complaints from folks talking about requirements for continued education credits on an
Mhm.
annual or biannual basis. Frankly, there isn't a profession that exists where you don't need to do that. So if
Well,
you
it's
think that
mandated.
if you think the fitness
Mhm.
space is the only one,
Right.
it really doesn't matter what profession you choose. But even just thinking about our world in the fitness space, if you've been at this for 5 years or longer, even probably 2 years or longer, how many people were educated on the impact of fitness training with GLP-1 medications? Probably very few. So, that's just one example of,
Evolution.
how things change and evolve, and you may or may not have been taught about how that interacts with your training regimen and the goals that you've got. So,
Exactly.
uh, there's always going to be something new technique, new equipment, new therapies, and so forth that we need to be educated and we need to be consistent and get our information from credible sources. As I think we can all also acknowledge there's a lot of misinformation that unfortunately is highly prevalent.
Yeah, that is. And I will say, just to touch to your point is if you are teaching a session and you do have a solution to quote unquote sell, that's going to happen naturally, right? So while you're doing the mentorship and the education, it's going to just kind of flow into it. But I think it's more that hard sell at the end of each conference session was something I wanted to change.
hmm So on that note, so you talk about shifting the mindset. So a lot of trainers, kind of to my point earlier, they do take
Yeah,
these courses simply to check a box, get their continuing education credits.
yeah.
But your philosophy at Activate Academy is different. So how have you shifted the mindset from attending an event to mastering a craft with quality events?
Well, this is an ongoing challenge because um, because what we're trying to create or what I'm trying to create at Activate and since 2014 is something different, but communicating that has been hard because it's outside of what we know events to be and what conferences to be. But every year, the mission is to try to help the Fit Pro feel the value of stepping away for the weekend out of their day to day or their regular space to fill their own cup. So I want them to feel the community, feel the mentorship, feel the collaboration and the opportunities and the celebration, and ultimately the inspiration for them to transfer into their career moving forward. So it's really hard to put on paper and to market,
hmm
but once they get there, I'm just hoping they feel the difference and why they want to continue every year to stay activated.
Well, and very much to the the picture on the wall behind you. Remember why you started.
Right,
Exactly. And
right.
the if you can answer the question why,
That's
I'm
right.
sure people have seen Simon Sinek and his
Yes.
Golden Circle TED Talk, and if you haven't, check that out because it really speaks to the passion and the purpose of
Right.
why you do what you do. And in our industry, a lot of people enter personal training because they love the gym. I got into that. I think probably similar to you. Um, but you approach this more as a high stakes profession. So,
Mm.
linked with your purpose and your why and Activate and Sweat Inc., how do you distinguish a fitness enthusiast who
Mhm.
trains people from a career fitness professional?
I think career-driven professionals will show that they have some sort of professional standards. So they are of service. So they're showing up to serve others, to help others feel better, to help others grow, to help others feel maybe the way they feel through fitness. I think too, longevity is a key point. So if they can figure out a way to sustain their career, and not burn out and enjoy the process is really important. Also, for me, if I see a fitness professional who is growth minded, and who is open to learning new things, or continuing to invest in themselves, to me that speaks volumes into whether or not they are a career focused fitness professional, or someone who's just loves to work out and wants to help others to work out too.
So yeah, really having that growth mindset and
Yes.
being service focused,
Yes.
ensuring that you're providing and creating that value for customers.
Yeah.
And so, of course, we're entering this crazy new world where chat GPT and
Mhm.
artificial intelligence, it's here. As an educator, I think we have to acknowledge it's a tool. It can help make things efficient in some ways, increase work volume that
Yeah.
we can create, not
Totally.
necessarily quality. But if we think about this era of AI and automated,
Mhm.
fitness apps, why is this human connection still the most valuable product that a fitness
Mhm.
coach can sell?
Yeah, to me, it's relationships. So for me, nothing replaces the relationship that you can have with your clients, your client can have with their favorite instructor, or their coach or their trainer, because it is the coach who is delivering hope, right? So the client who is seeking some sort of solution to their pain or their problem, they just want to feel hope. And I believe that hope comes through humans, and compassionate coaching. So for me, people really still need to kind of touch and feel and be heard, and not just see and be told what workout that they should do. I think AI is very, for sure, it's going to help our industry, but also I don't think we'll ever be replaced.
Awesome. Thank goodness.
That's what I
The
think.
the relationships are, I mean, that's, I think it comes right back to the why. Once
Yeah,
you get into it and, you see the emotional impact that you can make in somebody's life, it's so rewarding, not just for the client, but for the trainer as well, to
exactly.
realize the impact that they've created.
Exactly.
So later in April, just a few weeks from now, you're hosting Activate Fit 2026 in Ottawa.
Yep.
There's some amazing trainers who I know you've worked with over the years who've contributed and supported you in that regard, including Sarah Zahab I can think of, and also Lauren Goldenberg, who's worked with Sarah. Some amazing trainers in the Ottawa area. But
Yeah.
this Activate Fit, it's an event that's grown from a local gathering in 2014 to truly, I would say, it's a premier meeting of the minds for the industry.
Mhm.
So, after over a decade of activating professionals, what would you say, Connie, is the one conversation that we're having in 2026
Mhm.
that we weren't brave enough to have 10 years ago?
Yeah, and I'll first start by saying this event would not be here if it wasn't for the community of presenters that come together and really fill that mission, fulfill the mission, because we are very service driven and we want to see FitPro succeed. And I think the conversation we're having now that we may not have had 10 years ago is that fitness is not just a service, and we're part of the healthcare system. And we've had presenters that have, and still have, that are physicians, psychologists, you name it, not just trainers,
Hmm.
not just group X instructors, but we have like a realm of different professionals. And so I think 10 years ago, we weren't really ready to say that out loud, that we really wanted to stay in our lane. We really just wanted to talk about workouts and classes and aesthetics and measurements and all of that stuff. But I think right now is we're making a bigger impact when it comes to prevention. And I think that we need to step into that role, whether it's physical health, mental health, emotional health, or long-term quality of life. We've been having these conversations since our event, Activate FitCon was created, but we didn't know how to name it. And I
Mhm.
think now we're moving into that space where, yes, this is more of a wellness conversation that we need to have, but not just for our clients, for ourselves as well, because we are also experiencing burnout, or we don't have
Mm.
clear direction of how to make this a career. So I think overall, just professional standards across the board is has really increased in the last 10 years. And I would think that we're now having conversations about it, like you've invited me to do today.
Mhm.
We never would have had that 10 years ago. So I think as fitness professionals and the fitness industry as a whole, we're just starting to recognize it, but we need to also step into that higher standard of service.
Love it. I think as I listen to you, I think we've kind of left a little bit of a leap of faith that we know that the healthcare community is there. They know that we're here, and they're going to figure it out that we're here to help.
Yeah.
But we need to have these conversations. We need to, really highlight the value that we add and how we can make it increasingly easier through, initiatives to get patients active to help treat and
Mhm.
manage their chronic disease or prevent them from acquiring a chronic disease. We're working at the FIC closely, with the HFA and really
Yeah.
applauding their success with the personal health investment tax, uh, progress that they're making both at the federal level and the state level. We need
Mhm.
to do more of that in Canada to make it more accessible for Canadians to become fit and achieve the health that comes along with that.
100%. And it's not just a fitness transaction anymore. It's like it's a whole life transformation, right? I think we've moved quite far from where we have been 10 years ago, but we still have to build that trust, like you just said. There's
Yeah.
still a little missing gap of trust between the healthcare world and the fitness space.
Well, in order to get that trust, we need standards, we need education, we need people to continue to learn and
Yeah.
to elevate. The skill set that a master trainer acquires isn't something that they have when they first start working with someone.
Mhm.
And what better way than to immerse oneself within a community of other expert leaders who have learned from mistakes that they've made. They've learned new tips and tricks from others along the way. And I'm really excited to join you and see you in Ottawa in a few weeks. So, in prep for that,
Yeah.
what should people coming to Activate Fit expect in Ottawa during the weekend of April 18th to 19th?
Well, they should expect premier education, of course, forefront, always number one is the
Mhm.
education, but ultimately also leaving feeling inspired. So education and inspiration. They should expect to connect personally with presenters and other fitness leaders in the community, who are very giving with their knowledge, with their experience, with their information to just share and help them grow and build. And even if they're a veteran fitness professional, just a place to recharge. So for me, I need at least one place to recharge every year
Mhm.
where I'm with a like-minded community so that I can continue, serving others throughout the rest of the year.
Outstanding. And for
Yeah.
those that are still looking to, register for this event, where can they go to find out more information?
So activatefit.ca, and then it's called Activate FitCon.
Outstanding. I can't wait. I'm looking very forward to providing an update as well on the Canadian fitness industry.
Really
And
excited about that.
yeah, no, the we're in good shape, but I would say that we have not even closely tapped into our potential. And I look forward to sharing some data at this event, and also getting to interact with the attendees who will be there.
Absolutely. And this is what it's all about, coming together and just collaborating to make the change. So I'm
Out-
very grateful to be here today, but also for you to join us in April. So thank you.
Outstanding. Well, Connie, thank you so much for making the time to chat with me today, and we will see you in just a couple of weeks in Ottawa.
Yes, can't wait. April 18th. Thank you. We'll
Thank
see you
you.
then. Bye.